a little bit about depression and anxiety and hypnosis. There's so much misunderstanding about the topic of hypnosis, and I find that a lot of people can benefit from being educated on the benefits of it, because hypnosis has gotten a bad rap, and it's not right. It is absolutely not right. And I find that a lot of people can benefit from Ericksonian hypnosis is very different than stage hypnosis, to what people usually see on movies. A lot of people are familiar with hypnosis as being part of a movie where somebody on the stage makes you cluck like a chicken. That's not what hypnosis is. That's not what hypnosis does. And I think that I talked about it before many times, that psychotherapy has developed from hypnosis. Psychoanalysts. So what hypnosis does, especially Ericksonian hypnosis, is very gentle and very permissive. And what basically, to summarize this in very quick words, what hypnosis does, it helps you elevate your emotional intelligence is the quickest method to elevate your emotional intelligence. And why? Is because emotional intelligence requires you to be self-aware and requires you to regulate, down-regulate, control your emotions, and it requires you to understand and be thoughtful and respectful of other people's emotions. To summarize it, it's more complex than that, but in just a few words. So conversational hypnosis, and there's a lot of coaching that happens in hypnosis, and there's a lot of skill learning. I happen to teach clients a lot of skills in developing self-awareness and emotional intelligence. And Ericksonian hypnosis is very, very gentle and very permissive. In hypnosis, we don't talk about something you don't want to talk. We will not. And I'm not going to ask you about what happened unless you want to tell me. And I'm not going to ask you what happened, and then what happened next, and then how did you feel about it, and what happened next, and how did you feel about it, and what happened next, and how did you feel about it. I'm not going to do that. I have a lot of clients that come to me after they have done a psychotherapy, and the level of growth that we achieve is tremendous. And the role of hypnotherapist, and I'm going to speak for hypnosis, and Randy can talk about his role as a psychotherapist and then his role as a hypnotherapist as well. But my role as a hypnotherapist and a coach is to respect your model of the world as it is, and not try to rearrange your model of the world. What does that mean? That means that if you're a Christian, I'm gonna allow you to be Christian. I'm not gonna challenge your beliefs, whether Christianity is the right religion or not. If you're a Buddhist, I'm not gonna challenge whether your Buddhism is the right, whether it's better or not better than any other religion. If you're Jewish, the same. If you're brown color, the same. If you're white, I'm not going to try to change your model of the world. This is what religions do, and this is what brainwashing does, and this is what a lot of famous people that get you under their spell do, like the guy I don't want to mention his name. We talked about it last time. So by respecting your model of the world, we get to uncover your processes. It's not as much as what happened, because what happened is many, many years ago, and it probably lasted, let's say, one day, or a total of how many days throughout your life. And by now, you're probably 40, 50 years old. Okay, maybe 20. All right, not 20, whatever, right? So the hold, the event has left an imprint on you because of the amygdala, right? And it has a hold on you, and it pulls you down. It pulls you down, and there's a lot of ruminating, thinking going back and forth. That things shouldn't have happened. And whose fault is it? And I'm a victim and all. And probably right. But the fact of the matter is that that's not happening anymore. And the difficulty, we're having difficulty breaking away from it, or not letting it go. But it's a complex process. We're having difficulty staying away from it and not having that run in the back of my head. I'm trying to just find the more complex term, but there is no more complex term in just a 5 words over here. Because it has a hold on you, and because your processes, right? But then your processes have a lot to do with your values, your beliefs, your sorting mechanism, your meta programs, and so on, in your individual reality. So in hypnosis, you see, in psychotherapy, there's a lot of, and I'm not speaking for all psychotherapy, because psychotherapy, it has a lot of variety to it. But in psychotherapy, the events, that which troubles you is addressed, right? And it has you, and Randy's going to talk more about that because he's a licensed psychotherapist. And that does not leave as much room as for your processes. How are you processing that information? Now, how are we going to understand that? Well, the way we can understand that is a desktop, a laptop, and a smartphone. They all process things differently. They all access the internet. Kind of sort of the internet would be your subconscious. That's where you have all your stuff that you might or you might not find. And this is what hypnosis helps you get to. Like when you go online and you need to get to a place, you need to know the address to where you're going. So this is what hypnosis, it gets good with it, and is very gentle with the right professional, especially Ericksonian hypnosis, to slowly get to those blockages that have been stored in your subconscious, right? So, but the way you access internet and the features available to you on a desktop or on a laptop or on a smartphone are different. It's just different devices, and they all have a processor. And it takes you different clicks and different screens to get to whatever you need to get to by these 3 different objects. I'm keeping it simple because it's much more complex than this, right? So, so with hypnosis, especially me, so I'm going to talk about me, I'm very focused on how your processes are going, how you arrange your whys and the beliefs and the values, and what's more valuable and which beliefs hold you deeper and deeper. And once I understand these processes, then we talk about it, and then we go heal it with hypnotic suggestion. And hypnosis, people are 100% aware of hypnosis. Only at the beginning, only in the very first few sessions, they doze in and doze out. But in hypnosis, at least Ericksonian hypnosis, you maintain your awareness at all time. If a noise happens, you're going to be out and about right away, right? I'm not interested for you to fall asleep. Well, if you happen to fall asleep, you're probably being tired that day, and it's okay. We'll work with that, right? But it saddens me. It saddens me to, somebody made a comment last time we talked that hypnosis is believed to be bad. I'm not going to repeat the comment. I don't want to repeat the comment. That is going to be bad. And then there's a lot of religious people and a lot of Eastern European, I'm going to talk about my Romanian comrades, that are hesitant to take this approach to treat that depression. And that's a problem. Why? Because it's easily available, it's inexpensive, and it gets to the root of the trouble quick, right? And it educates you about your processes, and it helps you understand your beliefs and your values and your sorting mechanism, your evaluation, your meta programs. Once you begin to understand that, then you begin to have more self-awareness and more self-regulating and emotional control and all that, right? Because you need that. I mean, medicine is going to help, and we have the medicine. If medicine's available to you, use it if it works for you, right? But the thing with depression and anxiety that most people barely talk about is that not only the one that is affected by it is affected by it. Their spouses, their significant others are highly affected by it too, whether they say something or not. It is not you, the client, that is affected only. It is your significant other as well. Your employer, your neighbor, your children, your mother, grandmother, grandparents, your kitty cats and puppy dogs and the plants inside the house and everything else is affected by it. And then there is a common mechanism in between that there is a heaviness that comes with anxiety and depression. This heaviness, it's heavy. It's just like heavy, and it comes in both anxiety and depression. And oftentimes, when people carry this heavy with them, it's kind of sort of they want their significant others to help with it. And they do the best they can, but they cannot fix it for you. And then they begin to lean on the other. And having you dealing with anxiety and depression and leaning on someone like a family member, it's very hard on them. And then you wonder why relationships break out. It's hard on both of you, right? It's not right or wrong, and who's got it right and who needs more. It's not about that. So that's why here we are, the professionals, to help you not figure it out, but help you heal it the best you can. And this is not going to happen in a session or two, and probably not even 3, not even 10 sessions. A lot will happen, but and depends on the individual. I mean, in my case, when I work with, let's say, American people, I get to the root of the cause a bit quicker than when I work with Romanian or Eastern European people, because I talked about it, the consciousness of the mentality and the consciousness of Eastern European people is just so thick in tradition and superstition and the right and wrongs of religion. And this is how things should be. And this is how people should behave. And this is how people should look. And a lot of shoulda, coulda, woulda, right? It takes a longer time to peel the layers of the onion with this mechanism of beliefs and values, right? So I hope I answered quickest to it for those who don't have patience to stay on more, but I'm gonna have Randy pitch in from his professional experience as a licensed clinical social worker, licensed psychotherapist, and a certified hypnotherapist to Randy, give us your view on anxiety and depression and the misconception over hypnosis, and especially underlying the Ericksonian hypnosis, which you're both trained in.
The main difference, to put it very simply, the main difference between hypnosis, hypnotherapy, and psychotherapy is in psychotherapy, the client does most of the talking. In hypnosis, the hypnotherapist does the talking. That's one of the very basic differences.
Yes.
So when people talk about going to talk therapy, they're talking about psychotherapy, where a therapist is going to encourage a person to talk about what is bothering them, how they're thinking about it, how they're feeling, how it's connected, what is it they want to change, what are their goals, how can they improve their life, and that kind of thing, and how can they get over the problems they're having or struggles. In hypnosis, the therapist, the hypnotist, just which you could, Carmen, you could chime in too if you like, but you agree that when you're seeing somebody in hypnosis, you're going to do most of the talking because you're going to induce, and some people like that. They want to be led to be able to deal with their problems. Other people come in and they want to talk. So if there's something I want to get off my chest, then hypnotist is probably not going to be the thing that will help. Now, hypnotherapy can help in talk therapy because it can help a person remove some of their barriers and not be as defensive and look at what's motivating them psychologically. But when that happens, the therapist is going to do a lot of the talking, and the subject's going to play back and listen. So that to me is one of the significant differences. There's a lot of other differences, obviously, but that's the main difference.
Yes. And the beauty with hypnotherapy is that we do talk about what's bothering you. We absolutely talk about what's bothering you. But we don't go over and over and over as to re-traumatize. We talk about the gist of it. And then we guide you into a deep relaxation, and we take you out of tension into a guided deep relaxation, which puts you into a focused awareness. And in that focused awareness, we invite your subconscious through the guiding of imagery. Imagery works for 99% of the people to talk to you in a form of images, that which has been stored for so long. And then once the subconscious processes this through the form of images, some images might have meaning to you, some not. We don't rehash all that. But through every single session, there is some sort of clarity where a lot of blockages get released, right? Sometimes you're conscious of the blockages, or sometimes you're not, sometimes right away, sometimes a bit later. But releasing that and allowing the subconscious to express the symbols and the images, that because subconscious doesn't speak words. It just doesn't speak words and numbers. The conscious speaks words and numbers. And this is the beauty of hypnotherapy. You don't have to rehash what's being wrong, and then all of a sudden you find yourself. It's like you peel the layers of the onion, and you peel one layer and another and another and another, and some layers are dry and some layers are not. But eventually you're gonna peel all the layers, and then you're gonna get to the core of who you are. And I keep telling people who you are is the love that you are. But a lot of people cannot agree with that. I mean, they kind of sort of something, they never heard something like that. And it cannot process through it. What do you mean I'm the love that I am? Well, yeah, the love that you are. So then if you are the love that you are, how are you going to behave? How are you going to think? How are you going to talk? How are you going to dress? behavior, what is your processes going to be once you are the love that you are. And to arrive to all that, it takes a little bit of a time. And at the moment to which you become the love that you are, there's no more blaming anybody. There's no more criticizing anybody. Is accepting that shit has happened, and sometimes it might happen again. It's just bad weather, right? Or bad socioeconomic circumstances, right? But just I've seen some tremendous shifts, and I have this. Randy, do you want to add something before I go on?
The only thing I would say add is that a hypnotherapist is probably going to do a mixture of talk therapy and hypnosis.
Yes.
But a person going to hypnotherapist is going to know what's going on. A qualified, certified, licensed professional is not, it will never try to put somebody in a trance without their awareness. They're going to say, okay, let's try some hypnosis and let's start it now. And here's what's going to happen. And here's what I'm going to say. And here's what you're going to hear. And let's do it. We're doing it. I'm hypnotizing you now. Then end, say, okay, now it's over. So the idea that somebody can be hypnotized against their will, seeing somebody is a big myth. And
yes.
A licensed, ethical, and there are unethical people everywhere. But if you go to somebody who's certified in hypnosis, hypnotherapy, and licensed professional, if you want therapy, then you're going to be good. But if it's certified, make sure they're certified and they're trained in hypnosis, then they'll be good. And there's a lot, as you know, Carmen, there's tons of different ways to get trained in hypnosis. It's good to kind of research. Carmen and I both have been to this institute that is world known, worldwide, and anybody can Google it and see it's one of the most respected institutions in the world. So that's what you want to see when you find somebody. You want to avoid going to see somebody who learned hypnosis last weekend and it's just and that's where they learned it, or learned it, over a weekend last year, and now they're doing it.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people like that.
Yes, there are, and you will find a lot of people that might do guided meditation that they pretend to be hypnotists and hypnotherapists, and there is a difference. There's benefits on all ends, but there is a difference. And you bring out such a good point. You are correct. We cannot hypnotize you against your will, and nothing will happen against your will. And even if you go into a deep state of relaxation, we are trained to watch your ideomotor responses. They are called ideomotor responses. And we'll watch your breathing, watch your facial expression, what your body moves, and how fast is your rate of breathing. And that's one of the reasons that hypnotherapy works very well over Zoom. And actually works even better if you ask me, because you're sitting in your own environment at home, very comfortable. And then even once the session is done, you can continue to rest and even take a nap instead of abruptly coming out of the session and then having to drive to places. So I get a lot of results with online sessions, but every now and then face-to-face and in-person sessions are highly valuable. But you're right, Rennie, I cannot stress enough the fact that I will not hypnotize you against your will. And when you are hypnotized against your will, it's when you are controlled by fear, by portions of the media and certain people that tell you what the truth is.
So and the other thing I would say,
what is the truth? This is the truth. They are proceeding to hypnotize you. When somebody constantly criticizes something and putting someone down, or whatever, either they're constantly criticizing or they're constantly crying about the victim, they're hypnotizing you. because they're using neural language, which is the neural language comes into, and it's going to trigger a response from you. And this is where emotional intelligence comes in. And instead of you being triggered by a reaction, instead of having a reaction, then you can choose to have a response. And
there was a big popular movie just came out. I actually saw it, called The Batman. And in that movie, it's 3 hours long. And a lot of people say, oh my God, I can't sit for 3 hours. I can't watch a movie 3 hours. So many people go into it and it's over like that. And they'll say, gosh, it went by so quick. That was 3 hours. And other great movies too. Other great movies are long. Gone with the Wind's 4 hours. I went to a movie once that was 8 hours. And it goes by instantly. When that happens, we're hypnotized. We are in a state of hypnosis that's called time distortion, because time goes by without us realizing it. So the idea that hypnotism is this mysterious thing that only special people know how to do, and you've got to be careful, is it's just a big myth. We're hypnotized when we do anything we enjoy in a time. How many times have people been on the beach and they're like, oh, the vacation's over already? Well, it's hypnotized. Our time is distorted. So just to throw that in.
Yes. Yes, you bring up a good point. And last time we talked about people being controlled by fear, and you also brought up a good point that a lot of people through media, I'm clicking here on many things. So a lot of people through media, they go through propagating a lot of fear charged messages, and you are being hypnotized by it. The moment your
thinking mind starts to get turned off and you start emoting and getting upset, then you're getting close to you're getting close to a state of hypnosis.
Yeah, in a bad way. That's in a bad way.
Well, in my opinion, yeah.
Yeah, because in a professional hypnotherapy session, you're not going to get revved up.
No.
Even if bad memories come up, the intensity to which you, in hypnosis, this is the beauty of hypnosis, that you get to resolve your traumas and your bad memories and those things that are heavy in a very non-intense way. The way you're going to process it, because we help you get relaxed, and you're going to stay focused. You're going to be relaxed, and your awareness, your focus is going to be directed on, your attention will be directed by the hypnotherapist on what to do, what to say, change something, don't change something, and mostly work with images and not necessarily with feelings, because the subconscious stores information in images and symbols, and feelings are translated into that, and feelings and emotions are actually different, and you can work with feelings rather than with emotions and reactions. And the most beautiful thing happened, the most beautiful healing you find happening in hypnosis is like, wow. And a lot of people go like, oh wow, never knew I processed it like this, like, whoa, look at that, and then it's gone.
And it's very safe too. I mean, it's a very safe environment. And if somebody's is being hypnotized and something pops into their mind that upsets them, a good hypnotist is going to say, well, let's talk about it, and bring you out, and you'll talk. And if you want to go back in, you can. If not, you don't. It's a safe, comfortable. I know one of the trainings I went to, their goal, the person's goal, and I think this is such a great idea, is they want the client to leave very satisfied every time. They want to leave in a very good state of mind. So if a person's leaving up there, not always, in therapy that doesn't always happen, but in hypnosis and hypnotherapy it happens more than it does. So, if you're leaving a hypnotist, hypnotist's office and you're in a bad state of mind, that's probably something's not right there.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's just kind of my.
Yeah, remember that story where that the guy walked into what's his name office with a gun in his head and ready to kill himself. I mean, that is just big guy over 6 feet, had a gun and had a
Oh,
gun on
right.
his head and ready to kill himself. And they walked in and said, "Doc, I'm gonna kill myself." And then the therapist said, "Well, before you kill yourself, let's talk a little bit." And that was the session, talking. There is conversational hypnosis, and conversational hypnosis has you help you identify your processes. And the way this session ended, that this person, of course, they didn't kill himself. This person gave their gun to, I believe, to their neighbors or their friends outside, or someone they trusted. They gave their gun someone to be safe, and then they checked themselves into a hospital. That is a highly successful session. I mean, this guy was, he was on the verge to commit he described, not only by himself, and then as a hypnotherapist, you ought to be careful what you say to someone like that, because you're in a very difficult position to talk to someone that it's going through someone so intense.
The other thing too, I was going to, I think it might be helpful to address too, and you can talk about it also. You can, I'm curious here what your thoughts are. Is that, if somebody thinks that hypnotism, hypnotherapy, psychotherapy, all that stuff is evil and bad. And, I really think, I just give that some thought. I think they should probably talk to their minister or their pastor or their rabbi or their spiritual leader and find out why they think it's bad, why they think it's evil. A lot of people believe, I come from a very religious family, that distance from God, or what they believe, or Jesus, or the Hebrew God, or whoever, distance from God is the cause of all problems. And anything else that goes against that is not religious. And people believe it. And if they have that kind of thought, that that's what they need, they probably should talk to their minister rather than a hypnotist, because if they think it's a spiritual issue, that they're not close enough to God, or they've left God, or they've abandoned God, or something along those lines, then yeah, a spiritual person is going to be what they need, not a secular kind of hypnotist or hypnotherapist. Would you agree? Would you think?
You bring out an excellent point, because in hypnotherapy there is something called spiritual hypnosis, and in hypnotherapy, and I have that very approach, and a lot of people, a lot of therapists, they are encouraged to have. To include God and the spiritual aspect of the client.
Mm-hmm.
This is their model of the world. And but the spiritual approach to think, it's always very, very useful. And my approach, if someone would be very concerned that this could interfere with that religion, I would invite, and I have in the past invited that religion. There are very few sessions that I do. Well, I ask permission, and I ask every client if they want to have their spirituality involved in that, and what is their beliefs, and is it okay if I use the word God or higher intelligence or creation and whatever. And only by asking this question, based on what they come back with, I begin to form an idea of how they run their spirituality. But then I have, after a while, and depending on the progress that the clients make, I go into a full spiritual hypnosis. Very different. It's not Christian, it's not Jewish, it's not Buddhist, it's not mass, it's not religious. It's very spiritual. It includes a higher power, and it includes a higher self and a higher mind and a higher heart, and all that. And the results I'm getting with that, I'm still astounded by it. I am astounded by it. I mean, I had that kind of hypnosis done at me, and the results I got from that, even to this day, it changed, it shifted so much. I mean, I grew up in Romania, and I moved here when I was early 20 years old, right? And of course, I grew up with those mentalities, the thick consciousness of rigid tradition, not necessarily just religion, but the rigid tradition where the belief is that this, if you do something, this is how you should do it, and this is the way to do it. There's no other ways to do it. So those kind of rigid constructs puts a lot of pressure, pain, pressure, causes anxiety and depression in people. It breaks out relationships, and so on. So I have had those layers of the onion by which I freed myself from it. So I've gone through this process, and I understand how an Eastern European, I know what to do with them. I know, I mean, with an Eastern European, it's going to take me an extra time just to go through those layers of strict tradition before we get to the root of the emotional intelligence. And this applies not just to Eastern European, applies to, I had clients that grow up in a gang neighborhood, African-American clients that grew up in a gang neighborhood. Similar concepts to that as well. It's a very rigid construct of tradition where you're supposed to behave the way they tell you to behave, and then you cannot be who you are. Doesn't matter how good and how intelligent and how kind you are. And that puts a tremendous pressure on, and it's not healthy. So now that I've released all of those rigid traditional constructs. And don't get me wrong, I'm proud of being Romanian, and there's so many beautiful values that comes with that. And even Randy appreciates a lot of my Romanianism. But all of the negative aspects of this rigidity of this traditional aspect, I don't carry with me. I don't have them in my beliefs. I don't have them in my values. My values have changed. My beliefs have adjusted. My priorities are different. My sorting is very different. My reality is expanded, and it's healthier. And life is beautiful. Life itself is beautiful. All of a sudden, there's more beauty in the world. There's more kindness in the world, in spite of all of the troubles and the ugliness that we're going through. I mean, we're still having war. You know, certain parts of the world still having war. There's still famine going on. There's still people that don't have roof over their head. In spite of that, we have the capacity to get to that place to where we begin to accept the heavy that has happened in the past and learn from it. What doesn't kill you make us stronger, right? Well, you're not dead yet, right? If you come to see me, you're not dead. God bless you. Let's get your life more beautiful, right? It's possible. It's possible. We work with possibilities. I'm not interested in diagnosing you with anything. I'm I'm interested in removing your blocks. I'm interested in revealing your processes and presenting you with possibilities that why would things be only this way and not the other way. So
Yeah, and taking advantage of the freedom we have over here.
yes, yes, and one of the first thing I present to people that come from a rigid a tradition, rigid construct, like either Eastern European or gang neighborhood or very heavy religious background, very strict religious background. I have them to begin to orient towards healthy and unhealthy as opposed to right or wrong. Because a lot of the right way of the rigid construct that they grew up with has caused them lack of health, has caused them a lot of anxiety and depression.
But when you say construct, what is, maybe you could explain that, because that's kind of a, that's not everyone may know what that means. If you say I grew up with a rigid construct, what do you mean?
Tradition. It's just those rigid tradition. It's a construct. It's layers of consciousness. It's a construct of beliefs and values and sorting and right and wrong. It's a construction of beliefs and values that we all go through. What what do you understand the construct?
Yeah, I think that's true. It's just when, yeah, it's a professional word. I'm not sure when people say, you know, when you say, well, we have rigid constructs. I'm not sure everyone understands what that may be, because it may be, because I certainly know what you mean by far. But yeah, it helps to, you know, just kind of what your thinking is in terms of what, when you see somebody with that kind of, when you think this person's got a rigid construct, what do you see and what do you think that's going on?
Okay, so a rigid construct, I'm going to take some of the most hilarious, some are hilarious, some are ridiculous constructs, like going up in Romania, there is this mentality, which is a belief and a value. It's a belief system, part of your belief system and your value system. It is very high priority on your value system that, especially women, they should be skinny. No way should you have a little bit of a curved tummy. Oh, you got to have a flat tummy. You got to have a rounded, pointed chest, a round tummy, skinny hips, and long legs, and all that, and manicure and high heels, and wear the latest, most fashionable clothing. Doesn't matter if it hurts you. Doesn't matter if you're uncomfortable. That's a very rigid construct. And guess what? You eat something that it doesn't agree with you and you are bloated, then with this construct, you're just going to feel completely miserable. You're not going to feel just bloated. You're going to feel completely miserable. Oh my God, I'm so ugly and I'm not sexy.
And the construct also, are you saying, I mean, also the construct is the belief that I have to be a certain way, or I'm not worth anything. My worth depends on how I look.
Before we get to personality, it's the outside aspect. You have to look a certain way. It goes to your physical, out of which some you have control over, some you don't. Over the personality, you have some control over your personality, and we have control over your behavior and the words that we say, and that we have control. But the way we look, we don't have a lot of control over. We have a big nose, we have big teeth, we have a gap in our teeth, we have long hair, short hair, blonde hair, white skin, darker skin, pink skin, whatever, right? There's things we don't have control over. And in Romania, for example, chubby people are not chubby, they're called obese. And a lot of people struggle. I mean, Romanians are obsessed with weight.
I know that.
to the point that they see someone that is on the chubby side, right? Just so you know, I'm not skinny by their standards. I'm overweight by Romanian standards, just so we get it out of the way, right? They see someone that fat and they go, oh my God, God help me if I'm gonna be like that person. I freeze when I hear that. That is, and I don't remember me ever thinking like that about that. I mean, I remember me being concerned about having to be skinny, right? But that person that is chubby, I mean, my mom was chubby and I loved her, right? And I'm sure other Romanian moms are chubby and they're loved, right? And I'm not sure at what age a woman it's okay to be chubby, right? But these people that are overweight, they're not necessarily overweight because of their choice, because yeah, some of them eat bad stuff, but some eat a lot of sweets and gain weight, and some eat a lot of sweets and don't gain weight.
Some old medicine that causes weight gain, steroids.
There you go. There you go. So it depends on metabolism. But this is the most ridiculous, rigid construct that a lot of Eastern Europeans still hold themselves to that standard that they won't even get out of the house. I'm sorry, they won't even get out of the house. Like, no, I have to put my makeup on. Like over here in US of A, you know, you sit at home, watch TV in your daily jammies, and you just get up, oh, I have to go to pick up a bottle of milk. You just put your shoes on, slippers on, and get in the car, go to the store.
I'm not sure I like that either.
Well, yeah, but still, I mean, people are not that concerned. I mean, they're not, they're perfectly clothed, clean, reasonable, but they don't put heels on. They don't have to put makeup on and heels and all of that.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. They don't have to get dressed up and look.
I still, to this day, I don't dress up as bad as I used to before. But even to this day, I have a little bit of something like, oh, let me check my face, or let me check what I'm wearing. Is it matching all the colors? What shoes do I put on? What coat do I put on for me to get out? And there are a lot of women that suffer because of that. They are dealing with anxiety and depression, and they suffer because of that. And then there's a lot of other people, I don't want to call them names, that put more pressure on them, and they say, oh, you look like you changed, you aged, or you gain weight. You gain weight? It's like, this is one of the first thing you learn as a civilized citizen, to not make comments about how someone looks. And you brought that to our attention, Randy, in one of the past lives that we had, that you don't, especially a woman, you don't talk about her appearance. You make her a compliment, nice. And
even young girls. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff on the internet about that. The men, I don't know why, but then, you know, they see little girls, oh, you're so cute, you're so pretty, you got such pretty hair and all this stuff. It's always about the looks. And you know, I did it too. But boy, I just became aware that that's something, yeah. A gentleman never, ever, 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 unless it's a strong compliment, like that dress looks great on you, or that hairstyle really stands out, or something like that. Yeah, looks are off limits. Should be for men too, probably. But yeah, I don't know what that has to do with hypnosis, but there's probably a connection in there somewhere.
Well, we were talking about rigid constructs, and then from the rigid construct, this is how we arrived to it. And I haven't presented all of the rigid constructs, but this is one of the most ridiculous, and this is one of the it's valued because people are judged by it. And then I hear from a lot of Romanians that they don't want to They don't want to go be around with other Romanians. They don't want to congregate with other Romanians if they have adopted a different set of beliefs and a different set of values, which adds to their freedom and to their emotional well-being, to their emotional health. They don't care to go socialize with other Romanians, because I have Romanians in this case, because they are judgmental like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. I wouldn't want to go spend my free time with a group of people and walk in and they go, "Oh my God, you're getting really old." I mean, that's not my idea of fun.
No, it's not. No, it's not. So I am actually very pleased to see that a lot of people are beginning to drop this value of having to look perfect and having to look very trendy, always trendy. But still, this belief and this rigid construct is so deeply rooted in the belief system and the value system that it takes a long time to remove it, to take it out. And then you see people begin to break away from it, and then they're affected, and then break away from it, and they're affected. And the thing is that you have to continue to break away from it and not be affected by it intentionally. I mean, make your own the best you can. I mean, go ahead and pretty yourself up, but don't go overboard. You don't have to put high heels because somebody's going to say something. I mean, dress to appropriate to the circumstance, but it's okay to go to the groceries in your yoga type of clothing, right? And it happens more and more, but it's one of the most ridiculous rigid construct. That, and then another one I find is, well, this applies to US of A. Again, it is, what do you do for a living? It is what do you do for a living? And then when somebody you're already judged and evaluated by what you do for a living, by the means of how much money do you make, and by the means, have you gotten a college degree, university, or PhD, by which you're automatically better, more elevated than someone else. And I'm college educated. I have 2 professions. Don't have a PhD, but I have 2 professions, and I'm very good at both of them, right? Through my experience of life, it is those people, is the snobs that are not pleasant to be around. And it is the simple people that they're there for you, and they are higher on kindness and compassion. Those people with, not all of them, but it's pretty much out there, 80% of those. Then again, and what I notice now, this snobism turns even more and more into this need to dominate through fame, because they work so hard. I mean, they consider themselves successful by whatever it was achieved, and that's not the only way to measure success. I mean, there's so many different ways to measure success. But now, with all of the social media and the acceleration on all of the technology, I see a lot of them being caught. You know, remember how the victim, rescue, prosecutor triangle, it's an ugly pattern to be caught in and to experience your life from, right? So now that triangle has evolved to what I call the need for fame and admiration. There is a very deep need. I mean, it's not a healthy need for fame and admiration. And now they go evaluate based on that, whether you're at a level or not at a level. And then again, I have clients that come to me and they say, I can't do it anymore. I say, well, don't. Stop those videos, and you don't have to do anything that you're not comfortable, and just do it, when you can, and if it flows and if it doesn't flow. And we've already seen, even here in US of A, that teenagers are so affected in the rate of suicides on teenagers, especially with Instagram. Everybody's just so pretty over there and so perfect.
Horrible. It's horrible.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And to this aspect, I want to add that me and you have put filter. We have filters because it doesn't look good without filters. And then it's not pleasant. Why? Because so many other videos have lots of professional going on, lighting and studios and everything. You can't compete with that out of a laptop or a smartphone or a desktop, at home, right? So it puts a pressure on people that it alters their health, and some need to have their ego brushed by it, and they go about manipulating that. And then guess what? Here are the followers that are going to go say, okay, that's I'm going to go your way because you say that's the right way, therefore I'm going to go your right way. And then they're not even aware they don't have emotional health, having the freedom to be who they are. Oh, not even going into gay. We're not going. No, we're going to discuss gay people some other time. Oh, don't even. Are you kidding? No, no. Yeah. So this kind of construct, and there's much more to talk about on this rigid constructs, but that's a good example of it. You don't necessarily find that kind of a constructs to be as thick in United States as it is in those other Eastern European countries. Your turn.
Interesting. Well, yeah, I mean, I think that's just interesting. One of the things hypnosis can do, those constructs that you're talking about, people grow up under, people internalize them, and it seeps into their subconscious, and all of a sudden something bothers them and they feel like their self-worth has been destroyed. And hypnotism, in a hypnosis session, a person can go back and redo the damage some of those constructs have done. In other words, they can redo who they think they are, what their image is, what's important, what's value to them, what isn't. If they grew up as a woman, as a girl, being told that they need to be pretty and attractive and act pretty and dress pretty and look pretty and be thin and be whatever they may be told to do, that damage can be undone in hypnosis. They can redo that and keep it from impacting their life currently.
Yeah. Yes. Oh,
in a few sessions, not for years, but in 2, 3, 4 sessions.
Yes, well, it depends. It depends on how many layers
Yeah,
of onion. Right. I find that with a lot of people have already worked on their emotional intelligence, and a lot of people have done some, whether through their church or whether through the spiritual circle, or whether they've done what's called expand their consciousness, which otherwise mean they have elevated their emotional intelligence, their self-awareness, and they already know a little bit about their processes, and it goes a little quicker with those people. But then another big issue with Eastern European, what I'm finding to be, is shame. They are ashamed to, even in the intimacy of this, it takes them longer to be able to talk about their inner thoughts. And then when I get to that point, I am the happiest for them, because that is a tremendous progress. When you get to your inner critic, your inner thoughts, you begin to recognize your processes, you begin to recognize your values and your beliefs and all of this rigid, strict constructs of tradition and trendiness and all that are putting heaviness on you. And when people get to that point, it becomes like, oh, you see what went on through my head? It's just, that's a tremendous shift. And I said, good, let's talk about it. And we talk about it 5 to 10 minutes. And then in 5 or 10 minutes, at that point, we achieve so much. Then we begin to explain the difference and possibilities, and then to look at an aspect from several different prisms, and not just from, oh, this is right and this is good, this is ugly, this is beautiful. And then it just growth just begins and folds from that. It is, it's wonderful. Oh, over here, Randy, are you on my Facebook? Over here, people are leaving some comments. Someone, a girl just said, she says, I'm trying to stay away from the Romanian community, but when I'm around them, I feel good. I feel I'm alive. I know. So here's the paradox with Romanians and Eastern European. They're so judgmental, and then we break away from it's like being outside in the rain. You take a break from being wet, and then you go in the rain, and then you feel good, and then you come back. Because the thing with a lot of Romanian gatherings have to do with music and dance. And one of the, I think you pointed me that one of the features of Romanian culture is, what's the word? Gregarious.
Gregarious.
I had to check out, the word gregarious, because gregarious, I thought that gregarious means hardworking, which Romanians usually are, but it's not. Gregarious has to do with they like to get together and dance, or get together and chat and jokes and laughter and gossip. I know a lot of gossip on other people, right? Not all of them, don't get me wrong, not all of them. But there's no perfect culture. And the beauty of living in USA is that this country is such a melting pot, such a multicultural diversity in this one country. At least here, where I am in the Chicago area, is such a beautiful multicultural diversity. I made a point to spend time with multicultural organizations, especially with women, and we get together and we will talk about the cultural peculiarities and specificities, and it's just so enlightening, and you learn, so many different things, and then you appreciate. But the one thing that it was always present, it was respect. I've never felt more respected outside of my Romanian community. Never been as respected in the Romanian community as I felt outside of the Romanian community. Why? Because Romanians judge. And even though somehow you can kind of hear their thoughts. And then I remember, oh, this was a good one. I wish I still see it to this day. I should have video taped it. I participated to a Romanian event. It wasn't a large event. It was rather a small event. I would say about 30 people. And there was a group of women, you kind of gather in a circle and you talk. It was like 5 or 6, maybe not that much women over there. And I was, somebody was introducing me to that particular group of women, right? And as I was being introduced, and my level of my observational skills are to the roof. And that's one of my staples. I teach people observational skill. So as I am being introduced to the group, there is this particular woman that doesn't agree with me for I have no idea why, that literally, Randy, I could hear her thoughts, but it wasn't her thoughts, it was her ideomotor response. Her body bended, and her face changed, like I'm kind of changed, in all of it says, no. I was quiet for a little bit. In the midst of being introduced and introducing myself, I got quiet when I saw such strong physical response. I mean, there was no words spoken as to no, don't come here. There wasn't, but it was such a strong subconscious ideomotor response that this is the kind of thing that other people notice in other groups too. So after I got over the surprise over the shock, there is growing up in communism. Growing up in communism, we are taught that this is the way. And then if somebody is not the way,